we will present our position and some policy recommendation on the EC proposal on the revision of UGIs, focusing in particular on sustainability aspect. And that's why we wanted to first give you a brief introduction on some concept concerning geographical indication and sustainability. So I will first start with that, and then I will pass the floor to my colleague concerning our position. But first, let me just briefly present you AREPO, which is the Association of European Region for Product of Origin. We are a network of regions and producer associations, and we deal with product of origin and EU quality certification. We represent more than 60% of European GIs, and our 33 member regions come from 8 different member states. It's really interesting for us as this concept of geographical indication and sustainability, because our members share the vision of geographical indication as tool for rural development and territorial planning. It's really important, the idea of geographical indication as a common good, and the idea of the spillover effect, positive spillover effect this product have on the territory, because it's really central for our activities. And why is that? The geographical indication, as you may already know, have a peculiar characteristic, which is the link between their territory of origin and the product characteristics and quality. And due to this link, the production cannot be relocated, and that is why the producer should reproduce and conserve the local resources and reproduce them sustainably in order to be able to preserve the production. So in a way, we can say that somehow the sustainability dimension is included in the DNA of this production if they want to survive. More in detail on GI and sustainability, I want to share some concepts. First of all, we would like to stress that it's really important to have a multidimensional and holistic approach when talking about geographical indication. So we need to take into account all the 3 pillars of sustainability and not just focus on one, like environmental sustainability. Furthermore, we see sustainability as a path, a continuous improvement path, not just as a photo of a moment. And we think that we should adopt a voluntary approach to sustainability, and also a participatory approach, including the producer in this path to our more sustainability. But now you have in this slide some example of the positive impact geographical indication as, for instance, on the environmental side, in terms of protection of rural landscape and sustainable management of local resources and preservation of biodiversity. On the socio-cultural pillar, we can see as geographical indication contribute to the empowerment of producers and local stakeholders through their strong collective governance, but they also contribute to the valorization of rural identity and preservation of cultural and gastronomic heritage. And on the economic side, they contribute to improve producer incomes and quality of life. They contribute to keep local production system alive, and also to maintain and develop agricultural employment, contributing directly to the local economy, which is really important in rural areas, and also in disadvantaged and remote areas like mountain areas. I don't have time to give you more detail concerning the economic impact, but in the presentation you have some reference to interesting studies you will be able to find. So what I wanted to add is that geographical indication are not magical tools. There are necessary conditions to attain sustainability. One, of course, is that the link between quality and origin should be well defined. The collective action should be strong, and of course the policy and legal framework should be clear and supportive. And we will see that in a moment with the presentation my colleague will deliver concerning this part. Just before I pass the floor to her, I wanted to share also some experiences, producer experiences in this path to our more sustainability, because I wanted to communicate how the GI sector is really a dynamic sector, and there are already a lot of initiatives in this sense. One example is a producer-led initiative. In the case of Conte French PDO cheese produced in the Jura Mountains, and it's really interesting because a producer decided to include in the product specification some socio-economic characteristic of production in order to discourage the intensification of milk production. So they decided to adopt a mandatory approach with this specific characteristic to be included directly in the product specification. Other kind of initiatives are more voluntary initiatives at the supply chain level. For instance, the National Council of Dairy Denomination of Origin, always in France, has adopted a sustainable dairy PDO approach, identifying 65 commitments for the 3 pillars of sustainability and some priority team. And they asked their members, the GI producer group, to make a minimum of 18 commitments in order to meet this common objective. So you can see different approaches at product level or supply chain level. And just to end,
could we speed up, because we otherwise will have trouble with the next
yeah, I will give the floor to my colleague. I just wanted to tell you that we will in the presentation you have some references to studies and practical tools that can be used by the producer to evaluate their production. So the floor is yours, Francesca.
Thank you, Giulia. I will share my screen as well. Good morning, everyone. So as Giulia was mentioning before, my part of the presentation will focus more on the revision of the EU geographical indication system and the policy recommendations that AREPO has developed to contribute to strengthening the proposal put forward by the European Commission. I won't go back to the main novelties and main points of the revision, since you received a comprehensive presentation before by Mrs. Tome. I will focus especially on sustainability, because as Mrs. Tome before was mentioning, this proposal for a regulation introduces the possibility for producers to adopt on a voluntary basis sustainability undertakings and to include them in the product specifications. This is nothing new, because it has already been introduced, a voluntary approach to sustainability within the CAP framework. But however, in this proposal for a regulation, we have identified something that has concerned us. So the fact that there's no definition of sustainability or sustainability undertakings, nor sustainability standards. So we thought that this legal uncertainty due to the lack of a definition could have been risky for geographical indication applications. This is why we have started from this consideration of the voluntary approach that we believe is a very good starting point that the European Commission has put forward. Why we believe so? Because we agree that sustainability should not be imposed, but encouraged, and producers should be accompanied through this process. And through a voluntary approach, we can help in acknowledging and promoting also existing GI contribution to sustainability. What we have tried to work on is a definition of sustainability undertakings that should be included in the main legal text, so in the regulation, trying to adopt an holistic and multi-dimensional definition, especially to avoid a standardization of sustainability, because producers should choose the most appropriate strategy for their product and territory. And since most producers are either not aware of GI contribution to sustainability or lack the capacities to integrate all sustainability elements into the management of their GI system, we also believe that public financial support is needed, especially to carry out ex-ante evaluation of the impact of registering a new GIs, as well as an ex-post evaluation that could be useful to update, for example, product specifications, addressing eventual sustainability issues. But it will be also important to have public financial support to introduce training for GIs, producers, and producer groups to accompany them through a sustainability assessment. Furthermore, sustainability is strongly linked with the governance of the system. Mrs. Tome before introduced this proposal, specified that within the proposal of the European Commission, there will be producer groups and recognized producer groups. This is important because producer groups will have the possibility to adopt sustainability undertaking. And we believe that it would be important to establish specific criteria to guarantee the representativeness of every actors included in the producer group, of every operators included in the producer groups, avoiding this way imbalances and exclusions within the decision-making process of within the group. And furthermore, we have to consider the fact that at national level in member states that are currently different systems in place, some of them really work well. And so we believe that subsidiarity should be applied when it comes especially to recognize producer groups in order to let member state maintain or improve their national system. One very last comment concerning the new proposed management of the system, where there will be also the involvement of UIPO's technical assistant. We believe that this could also have an impact on how sustainability might be included and examined when it comes to product specifications. And so what we have asked is to keep considering GIs as more than just intellectual property rights, because as Julia was mentioning before, they are important tools for rural development. And it would be also important that if any type of technical assistance will be given by UIPO, this should be specified within the main legal framework, so in the text of the regulations. I will stop here and I thank you for your attention.